Neymar da Silva Santos Jr., a name once synonymous with unlimited potential, dazzling skill, and global football superstardom. Born in Mogi das Cruzes, Brazil, Neymar exploded onto the professional scene as a teenager with Santos FC, scoring 136 goals in 225 appearances before age 21, and helping the club win its first Copa Libertadores in nearly 50 years. He was not just a talented young player, he was a phenomenon. A Brazilian prodigy whose breathtaking dribbling, creativity, and fearlessness convinced fans and pundits around the world that he could become one of the greatest footballers of all time. But what happened next? From world record contracts to knee-deep injuries, career decisions that promised gold but delivered frustration, tells a story not just of brilliance, but of a career slipping through the cracks. This is the story of how a career valued at over $500 million became one of football's most discussed examples of underachievement. From brightest hope to world record transfer. In 2013, Neymar left Brazil for the global stage, joining FC Barcelona. There, he formed part of the legendary attacking trio with Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez, winning domestic titles and becoming one of the most feared forwards in Europe. Then, in 2017, the football world watched in shock as Neymar made history once again, this time with the biggest transfer ever. Paris Saint-Germain paid a staggering €222 million to secure his services, a number so high it reshaped the football transfer market. The expectations were enormous. Neymar was to lead PSG's European breakthrough, become the undisputed face of global football, and finally step out of the long shadows cast by Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. But while his financial value soared, cracks began to appear, not in his talent, which was undeniable, but in his career trajectory. Injuries. The first major setbacks. In Paris, Neymar demonstrated moments of brilliance, goals, assists, and flashes of match-winning genius. Yet from the very first seasons, injury interruptions mounted. Frequent injuries robbed him of rhythm, continuity, and the ability to build momentum. Over 6 seasons with PSG, despite scoring 118 goals and providing 68 assists in 173 appearances, his impact was often curtailed by his body failing him at crucial moments. Every time he looked poised for greatness, a full season, a deep Champions League run, an injury would sideline him. The same talent that electrified stadiums also made him one of modern football's most injury-prone stars. The Saudi gamble. A new chapter, a familiar pattern. In August 2023, Neymar made another seismic decision, leaving PSG for Saudi Arabian giants Al-Hilal in a deal worth around €90 million, with a reported annual salary approaching $104 million. For many, this was a move that promised both financial riches and a fresh start in a rapidly growing league. For Neymar, it was an opportunity to become the centerpiece, the undisputed star, the face of a new footballing frontier. But reality once again had other plans. Despite the fanfare and headlines, Neymar made just 7 appearances for Al-Hilal during an 18-month stay that was plagued by recurring injuries and setbacks. His Al-Hilal debut was quickly overshadowed by misfortune. In October 2023, during a Brazil World Cup qualifier against Uruguay, Neymar suffered a severe ruptured anterior cruciate ligament in his knee, a devastating injury that kept him out for over a year. By the time he attempted to return, hopes of revitalizing his career had already been seriously dented. In his comeback games in October and November 2024, a hamstring injury quickly ended his brief return, forcing him yet again to the sidelines. In total, despite signing one of the richest contracts in football history, Neymar featured in only 7 matches, scored 1 goal, and provided 3 assists during his Al-Hilal stint, one of the most expensive yet least productive chapters for any superstar in the sport's history. Break that down, and Neymar earned roughly $22.28 million per game, or about $39 million for each direct goal contribution. Figures that highlight a staggering disparity between wages and on-field output. Parting ways. A contract ends early. In January 2025, after months of frustration and limited impact, Neymar and Al-Hilal mutually agreed to terminate his contract. The club publicly thanked him for his contributions and wished him success, but the underlying reality was clear. Neymar's showings were too limited to justify the investment. Not because he lacked talent, but because injuries had silently stolen his ability to perform at the elite level expected of him. It was an ending unlike what was imagined when the deal was first signed. a stark contrast to the grand visions of transforming Saudi football. Return to Santos, a chance at redemption or a final curtain. After leaving Saudi Arabia, Neymar made an emotional return to his boyhood club, Santos FC, where it all began. Here, amid chants, celebrations, and nostalgic fanfare, Neymar's return was framed as a homecoming, a chance to rediscover his joy for the game and perhaps resurrect a faltering career. But even this chapter has been complicated. Persistent injuries have continued to limit his appearances for Santos, affecting his ability to consistently contribute on the pitch. Neymar has shown glimpses of his brilliance, scoring his first goal in 16 months with a penalty in February 2025, but consistency has remained elusive. While Santos fans continue to embrace their star's homecoming, skeptics question whether he can ever fully recover the form and fitness that once made him one of the most feared attacking players in the world. The legacy question. So why do many football observers now regard Neymar's career as a cautionary tale, rather than the triumphant journey so many expected? It's not because he lacked talent. On the contrary, his technique, flair, and creativity remain undeniable. It's not because he didn't win trophies. Neymar lifted domestic titles, continental trophies, and starred alongside some of the biggest names in football. The answer lies in the gap between expectation and outcome, the space between what Neymar could have been and what his career ultimately delivered during its later stages. World record transfers, enormous earnings, and global fame couldn't insulate him from injuries that gnawed away at his body and consistency. Million-dollar contracts could not guarantee goals when he was unable to play. And when he most needed to be at his physical peak, between ages 25 and 32, setbacks repeatedly pulled him back. The story of Neymar Jr. is not one of failure, but it is one of unfulfilled promise, a reminder that talent, money, and fame can only carry a career so far when the body, the instrument of the athlete, continues to falter. Conclusion. As Neymar steps onto the pitch once more for Santos, amid cheers and high hopes, his legacy remains undecided. He is Brazil's all-time leading scorer, a global icon of football, and a player who redefined the market value of the sport. But he is also a cautionary tale, a brilliant career interrupted by injuries, big money moves that didn't deliver as expected, and a future that still flickers with possibility. In the end, the story of Neymar Jr. is not about how he wasted a career, but how unpredictable, fragile, and human even the most gifted athletes can be.